Imagine holding a piece of history in the palm of your hand, completely unaware that a single, microscopic feature could transform 5 cents of ordinary pocket change into a prize worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Right now, hiding inside cash registers, jar collections, and old couches all across the country, are ordinary-looking coins waiting to disrupt someone's life. Among these hidden treasures is one coin that frequently slips through the fingers of unsuspecting Americans: the 1989 Philadelphia minted Jefferson Nickel. To the untrained eye, it appears to be nothing more than standard change from the late 20th century. But to a seasoned numismatist, a highly specialized eye, this specific 5-cent piece holds secrets that defy the brutal efficiency of modern automated manufacturing. How can a coin minted by the hundreds of millions suddenly become an object of intense obsession for high-end collectors? The answer lies in the dramatic collision between massive industrial production and the fragile, beautiful imperfections of fate. To understand the mystery of the 1989 Jefferson Nickel, we must journey back to its origins. The story begins in the turbulent, high-output days of the late 1980s at the United States Mint in Philadelphia. It was a time of massive economic activity, and the demand for circulating coinage was staggering. To keep pace with a booming economy, the automated coin presses at Philadelphia were pushed to their absolute limits, pounding out nearly 900 million Jefferson Nickels in 1989 alone. The sheer volume meant that millions of these pieces entered circulation completely unnoticed, changing hands to buy newspapers, candy bars, and bus tokens. The design itself is deeply rooted in American legacy, featuring a stoic profile of Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence and the third President of the United States. Flip the coin over, and you find his beloved Virginia estate, Monticello. This enduring visual concept was first introduced way back in 1938, designed by the visionary artist Felix Schlag. For over half a century, Schlag's classic imagery remained a staple of American commerce, capturing the ideals of early American architectural brilliance. But out of the hundreds of millions of 1989 nickels created to carry on this tradition, an elite, incredibly rare subset emerged. In the world of high-stakes coin collecting, the ultimate prize for a Jefferson Nickel is the legendary full steps designation. If you look closely at the reverse side of a standard nickel, right at the base of Monticello, you will see a flight of tiny steps leading up to the grand entrance. During the chaotic, high-speed striking process at the Philadelphia Mint, the metal rarely flowed perfectly into the finest recesses of the steel dies. As a result, on almost every single nickel produced, those steps melt together into a smooth, blurred line. To find a 1989 nickel where all 5 or 6 steps are completely intact, razor-sharp, and unmarred by subsequent scratches is a numismatic miracle. It means the coin was struck with flawless pressure by a brand new set of dies and somehow escaped the violent tumbling machines, the canvas transport bags, and decades of circulation without receiving a single dent. When a 1989 P nickel surfaces with these pristine full steps and is graded in an elite condition like Mint State 67 or 68, the value explodes. Suddenly, a common 5-cent coin catches fire at premier auction houses, commanding staggering prices that cross well into the $1,000 territory. The allure of the 1989 Philadelphia nickel goes even deeper than pristine condition. The frantic pace of production that year created a breeding ground for spectacular mechanical anomalies known to collectors as mint errors. Imagine a heavy strip of copper-nickel alloy feeding into the press, skipping a beat, and being struck vastly off-center. Collectors actively hunt for 1989 nickels that were struck up to 85% off-center, showcasing a dramatic, distorted crescent of blank metal with Jefferson's face pushed to the very edge. Other fascinating pieces emerge from a mint as broad-struck errors, occurring when the protective collar that holds the coin in place fails. Without this boundary, the tremendous force of the coin press flattens the metal completely outward, creating an oversized, misshapen nickel with a bizarre, smooth rim. There are even documented instances of die clashes, where the top and bottom dies slammed directly into each other without a blank coin in between, leaving ghost-like impressions of Monticello backwards on Jefferson's face for subsequent strikes. Each of these structural errors represents a spectacular breakdown in technological precision, a moment where the machine failed and a completely unique artifact was born. What is it that truly drives us to hunt for these metallic anomalies? It is the profound sense of discovery, the intoxicating realization that treasures are not just buried in ancient shipwrecks or hidden in pharaohs' tombs. They are floating quietly in the ordinary world around us. A genuine 1989 Pierre or Full Steps nickel carries a tangible piece of history from an era when physical currency ruled daily life. It represents the pinnacle of an artist's vision surviving the crushing weight of industrial automation. Every time you look at a handful of loose change, you're looking at a lottery where the winning ticket is disguised as ordinary metal. The next time you receive a nickel back at a local store, take a brief moment before tossing it into a jar or a vending machine. Turn it over in the light. Examine the date, look for that small P mint mark, and focus your eyes on the steps of Monticello. You might just be holding a masterpiece of mechanical error or pristine survival that collectors are desperately searching for. The hunt is alive, right there in your pocket, waiting for the moment you finally decide to look closely. To discover more about the captivating world of numismatic treasures and see exactly what these rare steps look like under a magnifying glass, you can explore this insightful breakdown on Hunting Rare Pocket Change. https://www.youtube.com/watch?v=ICVHENC. This guide provides a detailed look at the specific visual markers and striking anomalies that distinguish highly valuable modern coins from ordinary pocket change. What if a multi-thousand-dollar treasure is hiding right now inside your pocket, disguised as a completely ordinary piece of pocket change? Every single day, millions of people handle coins without ever looking twice at them. We spend them on coffee, drop them into vending machines, or let them gather dust in jars at the back of our closets. But numismatists and treasure hunters know a secret that the rest of the world completely overlooks. Sometimes, a tiny mistake made deep inside the halls of the United States Mint turns a mundane 5-cent piece into a holy grail for collectors. And right now, there is one specific coin causing a massive stir in the collecting community, the 2000 P. Thomas Jefferson Monticello nickel. At first glance, it looks like any other nickel you would receive in change at a grocery store. But look closer. Under the right conditions, with the right microscopic details, this specific pocket coin has commanded astonishing prices at auction, sometimes climbing into the thousands of dollars. The question is, do you have one sitting in your loose change right now? And how can you tell it apart from the millions of ordinary nickels in circulation? To understand why a coin from the turn of the millennium holds such an extraordinary grip on the modern treasure hunting world, we have to travel back in time to examine its historical roots. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American currency since 1938, when it was introduced to replace the iconic but wearing buffalo nickel. The United States government wanted a design that honored one of its most complex and influential founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, the primary author of the Declaration of Independence and the nation's third president. To find the perfect look, the U.S. Mint sponsored a high-profile design contest, offering a grand prize of $1,000, a massive sum during the tail end of the Great Depression. The winning design came from a highly talented German-born artist named Felix Schlag. Schlag's vision gave us the classic profile of Jefferson on the obverse side, facing left with a look of quiet contemplation. On the reverse side, Schlag beautifully rendered Monticello, Jefferson's beloved, self-designed neoclassical mansion located in Virginia. For decades, this exact design remained largely unchanged, becoming an invisible part of daily American commerce. By the time the year 2000 rolled around, the Philadelphia Mint was running its massive, high-speed coin presses at an unprecedented rate to keep up with the demands of a booming millennium-era economy. In total, The Philadelphia Mint struck an astronomical 846 million Jefferson Nickels bearing the year 2000 and a distinct P mint mark stamped just beneath the date. With nearly 1 billion of these coins unleashed into the wild, you might think it is completely impossible for any single one of them to be worth more than its basic 5-cent face value. But that is exactly where the mystery begins. In the coin collecting world, rarity is not always determined by how many coins were originally minted. Instead, it is often driven by a brutal, unforgiving standard known as condition rarity. When billions of coins are tossed into giant ballistic bags, shipped in heavy trucks, and dumped into automated sorting machines, they smash against one another relentlessly. This violent journey leaves them covered in tiny scratches, gouges, and scuffs. Finding a coin that somehow escaped this chaotic process completely flawless is like finding a needle in a haystack. But for the 2000p Jefferson Nickel, the real hunt centers around a highly coveted feature on the reverse side of the coin, the steps of Monticello. Flip a 2000p nickel over and look at the base of Jefferson's historic mansion. You will see a tiny flight of stairs leading up to the main entrance. On a standard, heavily circulated coin, these steps look like a smooth, blurry blob of metal. Because the nickel alloy, composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, is incredibly hard, the heavy steel dies used to stamp the coins wear down rapidly. As the dies degrade, the fine lines of the steps are the very first details to fade away. However, if a coin was struck perfectly by a brand new pair of dies with immense pressure, those stairs emerge with crystalline clarity. Collectors call this the full steps designation. To qualify for this elite status, a nickel must show 5 or 6 completely unbroken, horizontal lines across the entire staircase of Monticello, free from any intersecting scratches or strike weakness. The presence of those fully defined steps completely transforms the value of the coin. While an ordinary 2000p nickel is worth exactly 5 cents, a pristine, uncirculated specimen certified by professional grading services with the full steps designation is a magnificent rarity. At major public auctions, top-tier examples of the 2000p full steps nickel have stunned the numismatic world, fetching prices ranging from several $100s to jaw-dropping all-time highs of several $1,000s. Think about that for a second. A common 5-cent piece, saved from circulation or pulled from an untouched mint roll, turning into a massive financial windfall just because of a few microscopic lines on a tiny building. But the hunt for the 2000p nickel gets even deeper and more suspenseful. Beyond the pursuit of a perfect strike, there's a parallel universe of treasure hunting focused entirely on minting errors. During the frantic pace of production at the Philadelphia Mint in 2000, the machinery occasionally malfunctioned in spectacular ways. Expert coin hunters keep their eyes peeled for rare variations, such as the repunched mint mark, where the P appears doubled or shadowed, or the highly dramatic double die errors, where the lettering and details of Jefferson's face or the Monticello mansion show distinct, overlapping lines. There are even legendary, ultra-rare instances of die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies slammed into each other without a coin blank in between, leaving ghostly, inverted impressions of Jefferson's profile on the reverse side of subsequent coins. These errors are the ultimate lottery tickets of the coin world, transforming an otherwise ordinary piece of pocket change into a historical anomaly worth a small fortune. So, how do you know if you're holding one of these hidden masterpieces? The secret lies in training your eye to see what others miss. The next time you receive change, do not just toss it into a jar. Take a moment to examine the date. If you see the year 2000 followed by that crisp P mint mark, the real investigation begins. Get a magnifying glass or a coin loop and flip it over to inspect the reverse. Count the lines on the stairs of Monticello. Are they perfectly straight, clear, and fully separated from left to right? Does the coin possess a brilliant, mirror-like luster, completely free of ugly scratches or wear? If the answers are yes, you might be holding an elite specimen that collectors are actively hunting for. The ultimate allure of the 2000p Thomas Jefferson Nickel is the profound realization that history and wealth are not just trapped behind the glass of prestigious museums or buried deep under the ocean in sunken pirate ships. Sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight, quietly waiting in the palm of your hand, passed from person to person, completely unnoticed until someone takes the time to look. It forces us to ask a fascinating question. How many fortunes have we unknowingly spent or given away throughout our lives simply because we didn't know what to look for? Before you empty your pockets or head to the bank to cash in your loose change, take a long, careful look at those nickels. You might just find that the humble 5-cent piece you were about to ignore is actually the crowning achievement of your next great treasure hunt. What incredible secrets are waiting to be uncovered in your coin jar tonight?